And to the bottom left now in the blue, he is for the Cranky Ducklings. They give him a quack. He's Vindicta.
And the red Zerg, the top right hand corner, making sure he doesn't fall without a fight. Makes a noise for Ukko. Named after a Finnish god from the Northern mythology.
I gotta tell you, the only god I really care about in terms of Nordic mythology is Ullr, because we did not get enough snow this last winter, and therefore, Ullr, please.
Fair to ask.
Oh man, the ski season was so bad this winter, and I live up in the Northeast U.S. I mean, I do. That is how I keep myself sane in the winter, and it just was not good. It was so bad. It was either too cold and then not fun to go out in, and ice and the snow wasn't great anyways, or there was no snow. It's very sad.
Yeah, tell me about it. Like
you live in
where
Italy,
I live, like in. Sorry.
I mean, you live in Italy, my friend.
Yeah, like where I live, like in December, if you get 15 degrees, is I'm talking Celsius, by the way. It's pretty much freezing around here. That's the lowest ever. So that's how hot it is around here.
Oh man, I want to go back to Italy though. I did like the north of Italy, Rome and Tuscany or Etruria and places like that, because I did a lot of Latin in high school, and that was fantastic. Being able to, I very much enjoyed being able to walk around and somewhat be able to translate what read what the Romans had put on the walls.
Yeah,
but it was a good time. I need to go back. I mean, maybe DreamHack has an event in Italy at some point, and by that point they want to fly me out. Please, DreamHack. We're gonna do that one, but we should probably start talking about this game just a little bit, Akon. I mean, it's 2 minutes 45 seconds, and literally nothing has happened. So, tell me, whisper sweet nothings into my ears.
Well, we do have something of a little bit of an earlier command center over here. Started before the starport. Of course, we're gonna have a starport started right now. This is gonna delay the tech out of Vindicta just a little bit. It's a little bit of a greedy build, but he has good scouting information. He's seeing what Ukko is about. He trusts advancing into the later stages of this game with a little bit of greed. And if he does so, it's probably because he trusts his defense a lot.
There we go. The trick is we just need to pretend like we're one of the cool kids. These lings are just a little bit far away, but okay, never mind. And they're going to catch that speed timing right there. Reaper goes down, literally gets nothing whatsoever. But you talk about greed. We need to be one of the cool kids is now Akon. We're going to say, yes, Vindicta is casting Pot of Greed. That allows him to summon other monster cards over the course of the game or something like that. I don't know. I haven't played Yu-Gi-Oh! In literally 7 years.
Yeah, you told me not to talk about Legends of Runeterra before we started, so I'm not gonna do any example about Legends of Runeterra. But basically, because I am a liar, Vindicta is pulling a Bandle tree.
I didn't know you were a musical instrument, Akon. And it's certainly one that we don't really hear all that much anymore. That's kind of impressive.
Yeah, now you're mocking my accent. That's a low blow.
A liar? I'm not mocking your accent. A lyre is a stringed instrument.
A liar?
L-Y-R-E, yeah. Liar. Anyways.
L-I-A-R. Never mind. Whatever.
The pronunciation is the same for most people. Or close enough. Anyways, the Hellions are out here on the map, but Ukko is doing a very good job of pushing these queens forward a little bit, protecting his creep spread, making sure that it actually is able to spread at a decent pace, because we know Vindicta. Yeah, right now he's not all that active. This is a 3cc play. Eventually, he's going to want to get very active here. No, wait a minute. Vindicta? No, not quite get it in time. There's an interesting timing if you are taking the 4th base and the Hellions are right there, where you can go and actually kind of go and kill that 4th base as it starts to build. But it looks like on the other side, Liberator harassment getting a little bit. 2 workers go down. Queen does not fall though, so that's that at the very least. And well, the game goes on. Vindicta not getting too much damage, but at least he's getting something.
Yeah, honestly, gotta give it to Ukko. Really keeping his cool, not getting the cancel on top of that archery. Like, the timing is a little bit awkward to see, and he understood that wasn't the case. He didn't get a cancel. Then he lost 2 drones, he was able to save his queen. It was a little bit of double pressure over there, and he kept his cool. So, props out to him.
That he did. So, Vindicta now, third base here. Right, it's ready, so she benefits from Ukko from not losing that base. I mean, it was highly unlikely that he would, but good defense from Ukko does allow him to kind of balance out the fact that Vindicta has been as greedy as he has. But we're rapidly getting to that point now, Akon, where Vindicta's tech is going to be done. He's going to be on 3 bases, properly mining, and he will start to feel comfortable pushing. But I love what Ukko has done with the time. This is a rather quick Hydrogen, all things considered. He's got his Baneling speed on the way. We're not going to see him accidentally forget that one. So by the time that Vindicta gets his push going and he sits, I don't know, at 120 supply, 130 supply, starts pushing with his upgrades, Ukko's army will be well developed, actually solid in a later mid-game phase, and really be in a fantastic position to deal with it.
Yeah, keeping up with upgrades, very, very important. His centrifugal hooks almost completed as well to make those Banelings roll down the river. But Vindicta has something in mind, going out with a double Medivac just to, mostly not really to get too much damage, but getting good scouting information at this stage of the game is very, very important, especially if it comes to an early timing for the infestation pit, which is not the case in this scenario.
Okay, Akon, you talk about these Banelings rolling down the river. Well, what are medevacs if not vans? Now, very clearly here, we're gonna have 16 Marines living in a van down by the river. Look at me, I'm making useful cultural references. But anyway, drop into the main base. As you said, 16 Marines, but with the Queens here and making sure to follow up, not really gonna get all that much done. And I really do like Ukko's map presence in this game. He's doing a fantastic job of rotating to where he thinks Vindicta will be. 5th base already on the way. So while Vindicta has been greedy early on, well, Ukko's doing a fantastic job of matching him greed for greed.
Absolutely, spreading creep like crazy, very solid creep spread as well, with tons of creep tumors. A little bit all over the place. Vindicta trying to go for a little bit of a double crown with a Medivac over here on the left and trying to finally stop that creep advance. And honestly, yeah, that was a little bit too much.
Yeah, those were some decent Baneling connections right there, Akon. That was a decent amount of Marines that just died. 50 Marines on Medevac for 6 Lings, and however many Banes Ukko spent on that engagement. He's going to be rather happy there, and we're not seeing Vindicta really start to bounce his supply insanely highly in this game just yet. But 4th base on the way, 3 additional barracks because he does have that 4th 2-2, 2nd factory. Vindicta is one of those players that very much enjoys taking it to the late game, but I appreciate, again, we've been talking about Ukko doing the greed thing as well. Ukko is doing a fantastic job of both reading this game and probably is doing some prep work as well. Because look at this, he's double expanding. He has taken his entire side of the map before the 9-minute mark because he says, yeah, I have slapped down the first 2 small bits of aggression you've done, Vindicta, and I know you're being greedy.
Yeah, literally taking the map by force, creep spread all over the place, taking the 2 most utmost bases on the top west and on the east. Now taking the hive, ready to drop down a lurker den at any moment notice probably, and his upgrades are looking good as well. This is a very good macro game on the side of the Zerg, even though I have to say that Vindicta didn't really put too much pressure on him, and in this matchup it tends to become very important to somewhat halt the Zerg before he gets over control.
I'm getting a little bit worried about Vindicta right now. You said it. You have to put pressure on the Zerg. You cannot just let them grow to infinity and beyond. It just becomes too powerful, and we start to see already this bank building. Ukko is maxed out. He doesn't have his 2-2 yet, but that's fine. He's got a decent amount of Hydras, tons of Banes, big gas bank. He's going to be able to start rolling floods and floods and floods of Banelings into Vindicta's army, into his bases. Does this drop? It's going to get a queen, and that's nice. Actually doing a pretty good job of knocking down these Lings because upgrades are fantastic, 2-2 to 1-1. But we have to see Vindicta really start to trade extremely efficiently. Yeah, he has personal cloaking on the way. He's got 3-3 on the way. But when we're looking at his Zergs want to be up 1 base, Akon. This is a Zerg that is up 3.
Yeah, like Vindicta doing its best to try and ooh, the Medivac. To try and kill at least one of those bases, to try and put some pressure. This is not the stage of the game in which killing queens is actually a thing. Like if you do it like 6 minutes earlier, then it's real damage. At this stage, it's not really going to matter.
I mean, it is useful. You knock down some of the creep spreading
Yeah.
potentials, maybe. You slow down larva production just a little bit. But you're right. At 7 hatcheries, yeah. Or, yeah, 7 hatcheries, the larva you get, so long as you're injecting in some of the bases, you really will not run out of larva all that easily. So now Ukko, with this massive army, is going to try to get aggressive on the left side into Vindicta's third base. Now, Vindicta went double factory, but he's only at 9 tanks. It looks like only 3 of them are at the fight right here as Banes, Lings, everything's come crashing on in. Vindicta's going to lift that base up. Not too many SCVs going down just yet, but I mean, so many tanks, they're out of position. Vindicta taking massive shots here with these Banes, but the backside of the fight, there are always 2 fights when a Terran is there. You have the first one where all the Banelings come crashing in and all the splash damage happens, and then the second one when Vindicta resets, and he absolutely dominates the second half of that fight.
Yeah, absolutely amazing defense so far. Ukko maybe tried to do a little bit too much without having a clear transition behind this. He's going to replace his army again with mostly Lings and Banelings. He has a very strong bank, but I want to see something else behind this. We see Seismic Spines being researched, but you cannot easily trade Hydras as he goes further and further, rolling those Banelings, trying to get connections over the Marines. Very good. Kite backwards on the side of Vindicta. Can he keep his bio alive? It does kind of look like it, but 15, 18 and counting SCVs are going down, and the tanks didn't hold the line quite properly.
I have not been a big fan of Vindicta's tank control this game. He had that first fight where, yeah, he kind of did a pretty good job at it, but 3 or 4 tanks were out of position. He had 9 tanks, only 3 of them were actively fighting for the majority of the engagement. Again, we see there, same deal because of the fight previously, because he lost a lot of his tanks, and some are defending this right side base, that he was just not able to knock down the Banelings well enough. So, as you said, 18 workers go down. The factory starts to burn. Third base is lifted again. It feels like Ukko has such a fantastic position here to just keep tempoing forward that it's going to be very hard now for Vindicta to make something happen. But the lurkers, they're going to find their way in. We have to see some snipes, and we do. But the Banelings, as they continue to crush forward, it makes it hard for Vindicta to hold this position. 200 supply to 130. And now, again, Ukko backs up for a second. He resets. He builds more lurkers. He builds more Banelings. But if we're going to look at resources lost, it's actually not that bad for Ukko right now because he's on 7 bases. He's up 30 workers. His economy has just been absolutely untouched this entire game. Vindicta really has not been on the other side of the map this entire game, not in any effective ways. Again, Ukko finding his way in on the right side this time, trying to maybe repossession our Terran player. Snipes go down, but really not getting all that much. At least this time, though, Ukko is attacking into a planetary.
Really, a lot of action going mostly on the side of the map of Vindicta, trying his best to actually take as minimal losses as possible, but Ukko has been replacing his army like crazy, has such a good income in minerals. He can make Zerglings like it's basically nothing, and with +3 and adrenaline glands, oh, these bad guys do hurt a lot.
I mean, I do like what you say, though. You talk about how he's mining a lot of minerals. His gas count's actually not all that incredible. Lurkers, Banes can get expensive in that way. So if you start trading like this and you keep trading so poorly, and again, your gas income is not incredible. It's right around what Vindicta has. You can hit points where it's like, okay, look, you know, Ukko, you can make as many Lings as you want, but if you don't have Lurkers, Hydras, Banes, Vipers, life becomes incredibly difficult for you. And Vindicta, though, he's just looking for this timing where maybe Ukko, he does it one fight too long, he starts to trade too poorly. We're almost half a base of resources right now in terms of how much worse Ukko has traded, where Vindicta will be able to get that 5th base. He will be able to start moving out on the map again and say, yeah, Ukko, I'll let you just come crashing waves into me, and eventually you're just going to get tired.
Right now, I do want to see something different, as you were saying, from Ukko. We see nukes incoming from Vindicta, one of his signature plays. We've seen him take wins over some incredible Zer players with his very well placed nukes. Over here, looking a little bit too dangerous in the middle of everything, though.
the lack of a splash here is a bit of a problem. Certainly tanks not being staged is a big problem. We're gonna have to see if Vindicta has his micro where he needs to be, because there's so many Lings and Banes come crashing in. But look at this, the ghosts, they're all cloaked up. There is no detection for this army anymore. We're ready to even see Vindicta snipe some Banes down on the retreat. Oh, SCVs went to the wrong side. 15 have died. They were not able to run away appropriately. And Ukko takes this timing now. He says, yeah, I forced your army onto the low ground. Let's re-engage, shall we? That sounds like a fun idea. Tanks continue to fall, not getting the trades that they are looking for. And again, Vindicta's economy, it gets slapped down. 98 drones to 50.
That's really rough. I want to see Ukko take those Vespin geysers. I cannot really stand this side anymore. 98 workers and his incoming Vespin is not looking good. When you have these many minerals, one pretty interesting thing you can do is just try to drop some Nidus on top of the production of your opponent. Just fill it with Lings and try to do your best, but here he's engaging again.
I mean, I do appreciate Vindicta trying to play that Maru style. I mean, if you're Maru, you don't lose this game ever. But we're going to have to see if Vindicta can do the same, as again, Ukko comes crashing in through this same spot, the one spot that he says, this is maybe a little bit vulnerable. I've broken it open enough. And 7 more SCVs go down. And actually, Ukko is starting to bring resources back just a little bit. It was 11k for a second. Now it's down to 9k. It looks like that ghost or that nuke really didn't land. Okay, that's a dead ghost. Probably should have been killing some Lings, but whatever. Ukko again remaxes. 22 Banelings on the way. He has +3 melee, +3 ranged soon enough. And I keep asking myself, yeah, Terran can sustain this for a while. You know, they're on 4 bases. You mine decently. Mule hammers are good if you trade efficiently. But what is the point where Vindicta is able to actually break out, is able to take that 5th base, is able to actually make something happen? And this is a good start. We're going to see the base. Actually, this base might even go down. No, Vindicta backs up for now, but killing 9 more drones, just trying to bring the economy back to normalcy as the Banes again come crashing in. This time, though, there's detection. Personal cloaking's not going to save these ghosts, and again, we do not have the splash damage. We do not even have the army supply anymore because Vindicta is insanely broke. His mineral income is not increasing at all. Ukko, he was left to do whatever he wanted, and he takes game 1.
That's one of the most weird ZVT I've watched in a while. Ukko just kept on banging on the same wall until it broke. He was keep on attacking. And we said it multiple times during this game that it wasn't really looking like he was doing enough until a certain point in which another 30 Banelings and then another 30 Banelings and then another 30 Banelings. And sooner rather than later, even if you have a decent Vespin income on the side of Vindicta, he just kept losing all of his tanks. His ghosts didn't do enough. His marauders were tanking all of those Baneling shots. And in the end, there was nothing left behind to kill the Lings, to kill whatever was remaining, and everything was just destroying the economy of Vindicta. Not a clean game, again, on the side of Ukko, but I will say a deserved victory.
I mean, that's Ukko did exactly what you have to do. You take the map. I would have loved to see him maybe start taking bases from Vindicta, but we didn't really get to that point. And because, again, he still was totally fine on those 90 workers on 7 bases. And just you roll floods and floods and floods, and you just keep trying to reset the tech of the Terran, knock tanks down, knock ghosts down. And that was exactly what happened. But you hit the nail on the head there at the start of this game, or 10 minutes in. You can't just let a Zerg grow to 7 bases totally uncontested. Like, I appreciate the desire to try to hit that late game style, because if you get there even, it feels good. But to get there even, you do have to be somewhat active in the mid game. So now Vindicta is down 1, and this is a must-win series for him. But let's see if he can make something happen. Take us to game number 3, because, folks, we're here. In the bottom right, now in the blue, folks. He needs your energy. He needs your support for the Cranky Ducklings, Vindicta.
Currently in is a lifeline. He does have a chance to have a saying in this group, and he wants to double it up here on Curious Minds. It's Ukko. You know what's a very good unit in ZVT? When you have a hive?
Ultras.
Vipers.
Okay, that's actually a real answer.
Yeah, it is. Why didn't we see Vipers there? The game could have been much cleaner with Vipers.
So Vipers, they get a little tricky if your opponent's good with Ghosts, right? They love to clump and you just mass EMP them, and that's a lot of gas that is not super useful. And I mean, realistically, the tank count it didn't get high enough that Ukko was worried about it, and we could see this happening real time. Yeah, he wasn't trading well, but if you're at 100 drones, you don't really care about trading well all that much, and we can see him just slowly making inroads in, and that is the style. Absolutely, that is the style. We'll see Solar do something similar. We'll see other players do similar things, where you can either try to tech up really hard and go mass lurker and whatever, or you can just flood them with low-tech units until they die. Because I think Ukko had the right read there. He didn't need to spend 300 gas a pop on Vipers. He just say, yeah, okay, you know what? Lots of stuff. I'd rather spend that gas on Hydras and Lings and Banes and roll in and roll in and roll in, and you just will never have the economy. You're stuck on 4 bases, but ooh, Vindicta, the Reaper, cheeky man. 3rd base delayed a little bit.
Yeah, it's honestly very good with the SCV on the other one. And a little bit of the extractor trick to keep it alive. That's an old trick in the book, but seeing it work brings a little bit of joy to my eyes.
Yeah, but again, for now, Ukko, his 3rd base just marginally delayed, and we're gonna have to see the Reaper's got about 45 seconds left on the map before it really does become useless. So we're gonna have to see what, if anything, Vindicta is gonna be able to make happen here. But behind this, Vindicta is not going for a quick 3cc play. Part of course, the reason is that this map is Curious Minds, but I would also argue that he's playing against Ukko, and Ukko is apparently, one of the things he's known for is just getting to late game ASAP and doing that. I mean, M. Canning versus Ukko was a 60-minute draw with another 30-minute game on the other side of that yesterday. Ukko seems to be rather at home in the late game.
Yeah, you were saying something really interesting before, like comparing his style to Solar. And I do see tons of similarities between the two players. Both of them trying to skip a lot of corners to try and get to the late game as fast as possible, hit the sweet 66 drone spot, and then start outgrowing your opponent completely. Of course, Vindicta didn't really put pressure the previous game. This time, he's gonna start it off with a Banshee Cloak.
He also wasn't super successful with the pressure he tried to put on. We saw the Liberator got 2 drones, and then it died. Vindicta bills himself as the fastest Terran in North America, so it is unfortunate to see those first couple harassment units die so quickly. The Liberator, I think, got maybe 1, maybe 2 sieges up. Now the Hellions here on the map, they're trying to find something, and Ukko is not going to be... Well, no, I don't think he had a 4th base at this point, but I was going to say he's not going to be quite as greedy as last game, but also neither is Vindicta. So, Stim on the way. Cloak is halfway done. We're going to see 2 Banshees pop out. Sure, fine. Oh, okay, never mind. It's only going to be 1 Banshee. That is interesting. Normally you get 2 because that one-shots workers, but it seems like Vindicta wants the benefits of going Banshees without the expense of going Banshees.
I do feel like it also has something to do with that Ling hitting on the wall and seeing like the last tick of a cloak being researched and almost seeing the Banshee pop out. Maybe prompt Vindicta into thinking, yeah, maybe let's not go to having to use Banshees. And you see Ukko having the perfect reaction even before these Banshee hits there at the main, and probably overall a pretty decent call from Vindicta to just not commit into 2 Banshees. Not a big commitment, but even then, just skipping corners. We talked about skipping corners. Maybe that's a better call overall.
He did also cancel Cloak, so just, oh yeah, I'm getting a Banshee, maybe I'll find value with it. But as you said, if he feels like he's been scouted, if he feels like he's just not going to work anymore, yeah, don't commit to it. Absolutely not. And that does allow him to get his 1-1 marginally faster than you would normally would in a Hellion Banshee setup. I am curious, though, to see whether we do see Ukko maybe move into more of a Muta play this game. And it looks like we're not. We don't have a lair. Oh, no, I'm sorry. We do have a lair. And he's adding a bunch of gas, but he's only going 5 gas. So, okay, this is going to be Lingbane into Hydra, which is fine. But generally, when you do look at Hellion Banshee, that does open a timing where you can go Mutas because the Marines of the Terran are just a little bit later. But it looks like that's not where we're going to go this game.
Yeah, also creep spread is pretty much a tell of going into ground. He's focusing creep spread only towards one side, trying to keep control of his own health in this style of creep spread instead of trying to spread around to gain a little bit more vision control. This kind of creep spread is not for vision control, it's for map control. and if you go air, you kind of don't need to spread creep this way. So a little bit of a tell. Vindicta probably knows what this is about.
I would like to see more of a focus, the way we talk about creep spread, towards that fourth base. You kind of want to go and figure out at least one screen away by the time your fourth base is done, by the time the Terran starts pushing. But again, even though this is not quick 3cc play, even though we are up to 5 barracks now, and finally Vindicta's moving out on the map, this has still been a rather passive Terran. If we look at resources lost, I mean, what? A Terran's lost 1 SCV, Zerg's lost 3 Lings in the free Overlord from the start. It's not a lot, but now here comes the pressure in earnest. And this is what we're talking about wanting creep spread past the base already. It makes it a lot easier now for Ukko to take the engagement. He's supply blocked, losing that Overlord, and this is just a dead fourth. I like this so much more from Vindicta, able to actually do things to the Zerg. And actually, as the Banelings morph, oh, that's a bit of a problem, but Ling run by into this third base. It's heating up here on both sides. Vindicta finding the value he's looking for, but losing 11 SCVs as well. And the Lings pretty much uncontested, causing some problems, but so much of this creep spread we've seen the natural and the third getting knocked down. Ukko looking to roll in with the Banes, but not just yet. And the Lings, they're going to eat so many shots from these Hellions as now Hellbats morph on in. The tanks continue to roll forward. Vindicta actually looking like he's got a shot to end this game right now, but the Banelings and the Lings on the backside right as the tanks siege up. Vindicta will not end the game right now, but this is a wonderful trade for him as the Marines, they continue to rally forward. We have absolutely no Banes on the map right now, Akon. It is just Ling Queen, and you need more than that. So Vindicta stimming into the natural here, not taking the game late anymore. He said game 1 was a gift. Game 2 is maybe something a little bit more to my liking, but as these Banelings complete, the bio pretty overstimmed, no energy on the medevacs. Vindicta, it looks scary, but it looks like he's going to have to back up for a second.
Losing those 11 SCVs might come to haunt him later on, because this was such a good play from him. Abusing just the right moment in which the Zerg is the most delicate. We were talking about the 66 drones sweet spot. That's the moment in which you start to get all your tech at once. You drop the Hydra Den, you drop everything at once. You're not gonna have a lot of Banelings, you're not gonna have Baneling speed, you're not gonna have +1/+1. That is the exact moment in the game in which the Zerg player is the most vulnerable. And we saw that. Ukko took a lot of damage, but those 11 SCVs lost, man, that must have been really bad for Vindicta. Bad feeling. Ukko did what he had to do, he held, he lost a lot, but he's alive.
I mean, it didn't feel great for Vindicta, and it's the reason that Ukko is still in this game. But he's about to lose another fourth base. He just lost his fifth base as well. At least he's canceling, not killing. But it does feel like the noose is tightening for Vindicta, or for Ukko, just a little bit. But hey, Ling run by on the other side. Looks like it may be able to delay this fourth base. Certainly it's going to find a tank, and okay, looks like the fourth base delayed, not canceled. Vindicta's not unhappy with that one because he's got a massive drop here in the main base. But as the Banes return, it's actually going to be forced back here. But the thing I'm tracking, the only thing that truly matters in this game is the fact that Ukko's on 3 bases and Vindicta has his 4th base on the way. And, oh, interesting. Ukko saying, you know what, with this, I can stand back on 3 bases. I just need to get to Hive. I just need to get to Lurkers. I'm going to be okay. Oh, that's a kill as well. Vindicta is just... It's a full encirclement. He's doing the pincer move, and he's just fighting him on both sides. And it is just... Ukko is just not able to respond as well as he would like.
It feels like watching Solar versus Beyond so much. These two players kind of trying to use the same similar styles of these two Korean players. And we see Ukko always trying to be up front, always trying to send something ahead, but he just doesn't really have enough to hold back home, and losing hatchery after hatchery, he started to kind of hurt a little bit too much. This is not sustainable for him.
Now, Ukko's only on 57 workers. You talk about wanting to get quickly to that 66 worker count. Yeah, Ukko maybe briefly got there, but he's not there now. And sure, he has his 2-2. Almost done. Vindicta actually has forgotten his +3 upgrades, which are or his +3 armor, which is interesting. Is now the drop goes in, but there are enough queens that you about back the hell up there, Vindicta. That's not going to work out all that well. But it looks like Ukko may have finally found a way to. Actually, no, he's not. Never mind. I thought I saw 4th base go down there for a second, but that was just the blob of army. So Ukko, I'm not exactly sure what he's waiting on. It's not like, okay, we do have a Lurker Den, but so we should start to see Lurker upgrades going soon, and maybe that's the moment where he chooses to burst out here. But we're 11 minutes in, my friend Akon, and it is a Terran that is up 40 supply. That is not something that you see all that often.
Yeah, absolutely. Ukko just now trying to take this base in the bottom left-hand corner. His creep spread is exactly fashioned to do this. This is such a complicated base to hold with these two ramps on the high ground. It's just free real estate for the Terran if he gets there. Those lurkers need to come online immediately, and it doesn't really look like it's going to happen.
We only have 22 Banes on the map right now, which might sound like a lot, but in this game, it really is not. So Vindicta continues to find his way forward. We're going to see Liberator siege up everywhere. It looks like he kind of wants to elevate her into the main. It's interesting because it feels like he should be able to get a lot more done here, but he seems rather reticent to take an engagement after he's found this position for himself. And certainly this is a terrifying position for Ukko to engage into with all the Liberators and the tanks and everything else. So the Liberators now, they're going to start sieging up the main even more. Vindicta effectively turning this game into a golden wall game, except this is on a 4-base Terran instead of a 2-base Terran tank push. Anyways, the lurkers are going to make it kind of difficult for Vindicta to push further into the main right now. And Ukko, he's going to get a bit of reinforcements on that left side. Ling's onto the other side of the map here. It feels like Vindicta should just rotate around, smack the 4th base down on the left side once again. This move to just try to be super fancy, it may be a win more move, but I don't know, Akon. It feels like it's giving Ukko maybe a window back into this game.
It feels the same. Like it's just not decisive enough. Ukko is being given time, and time is the most precious resource.
Well, you don't want to take that fight though. Please,
yeah.
No, Ukko, don't take that fight. Not with that many tanks and Liberators and Marines and everything else. That was... We see how expensive that was? Okay, not yet. Battle report is going to update in eventually. And that was expensive. I think that's all that matters. That was expensive as hell.
You know what? That's one saving grace of the game of Ukko. His queen count has been amazing throughout the game.
Yeah, that he has. The Banelings, they run forward. Lurkers, they siege up, and we do have Lurker, Burrow, and range. So it's this army that Vindicta has is a little bit more difficult to deal with the massive amounts of lurkers that Ukko has. But again, Vindicta is on 4 bases. We have a Liberator harass somewhere. Yeah, Liberator on that 4th base. So we say, yes, Vindicta let Ukko get a 4th. Kind of. Not really. He's not allowed to mine from it. So you do have that one there as Ling's Banes try to find their way into the 3rd. But this is a much better defensive position than Vindicta had in that last game. Tanks and bunkers and Liberators and everything else. So yeah, Ukko, he gets 2 tanks and he gets 1 Liberator. He loses so many of these Hydras in the exchange. There's not a world where that is in any way, shape, or form cost effective.
Yeah, it felt like a desperation move on the side of Ukko, never able to actually bite back in any significant form after killing those 11 SCVs before. Now he's finally dealing with the Liberators, retaking his base, starting to mine from it. But the bad news is that Vindicta right now is taking his 5th base.
I mean, certainly. Last game was the game where the Zerg can't... Where the Terran couldn't leave their side of the map. This is a game where the Zerg really cannot leave their side of the map. And now that Vindicta, he has Ghost out on the field. We have this Liberator tank Ghost army that is so difficult for a Zerg to deal with at the best of times. And it is not the best of times. In fact, it is absolutely the worst of times here for Ukko. He's got some Hail Mary lurker play. He listened to you from last game, but that was a very different game at Constantis. That was a very different game indeed. So we're going to see the 5th base. I feel like the base here has died like 7 times. I know it's not quite that much, but this position has just never been a position that Ukko can take. He's down 80 supply. He's down 48 workers as a Zerg. That just does not feel good.
Absolutely not, and he's only going to get worse. It's nuke time, Liberator's range, all the pieces of the puzzle are coming together for Vindicta. And Ukko, yes, he might be taking +3 melee, he might be keeping up with lurker count, but it's just simply not enough. This Nidus Swarm is a very cute play. Like, let's all be honest, it's really cute to see these Nidus go up, then lurkers try to kill a little bit of production. But even if you kill all of that production, like this army of Vindicta is way too complicated to deal with.
Ooh, Lurker actually did get out, so 2 Lurkers are there. Tank is actually not sieged. SCV's getting pulled to deal with this, so looks like the 2nd Nidus won't come. Oh, it will. Wait a minute here. This is starting to become a problem. 5 SCVs have died. The Lurkers are going to get on top of production. 2nd Nidus pops out here, and that is so many Lurkers in the main base, but let me sing you the song of Liberators. Eventually, we will be able to get those back, and That should be fine. And Vindicta saying that, oh yeah, okay, yeah, you got this Nidus. That's fine. That's like your entire army in my base. So why don't I put my entire army in your base? Lurker Spies are going to be very good. And that army is very red. But unfortunately, it is just not enough here. The bio continues to move on forward. Liberators, tanks, everything's sieging up. Vindicta is losing his production just a little bit. These lurkers are proving to be rather annoying. But that is literally the entire army of Ukko. He cannot do anything anywhere else. So bio in the natural, bio in the main base. Ukko, it's a good job on the base trade. It was the best possible best possible engagement he could have taken, but it just feels like it's too little, too late.
Yeah, absolutely. That blender had me worried for a second on that ramp. I saw a lot of spines going through a lot of bio. But yeah, it's just queens versus ghosts and tanks, and those liberators are not making the life of Ukko any easier. 46 supply, plummeting even more. GG gets gold, and Vindicta gets the equalizer.
So it's really the story of who gets to the late game faster in that series, and that was a game, well, I don't know, maybe that's a forced narrative, but certainly we did see Vindicta be he showed just a lot more agency on the map. He did more than kind of turtle on 3 bases, turtle to 4, and just let his opponent take the map. So I'm actually going to be really curious to see what, okay, so it's going to be Hardwire for game 3. That's a bit of a Zerg map. Now, if you're Maru, it's totally different, but in general, it's a bit of a Zerg map. It's pretty easy to take 4 or 5 bases. The rush distance, the rally distance is long. There's a decent amount of dead airspace for mutas, if that's what you want to go for. Decent amount of chokes for lurkers. It does tend to favor the Zerg a little bit. So, with that being said, with seeing how game 1 and game 2 went, has me maybe a little bit worried for Vindicta, honestly.
Yeah, it was like game 1 was of course very much dominated by Ukko. Game 2, we've had many different moments in which Vindicta should have closed that game, and Ukko found something that kept him in the game. Lots of bad engagements on the side of Vindicta. At the end of the day, like you were saying, lots of win more moves, and that kind of did it. But this time, I want to see something a little bit more cleaner on the side of Zeren.
I agree, but also I gotta say I'm happy. This is our first 3-game series of the day. I think. So we take those, but we also take this is game 3. In the upper right now, in the red, showing a lot more agency, a lot more ability on the map in that second game. He is for the Ducklings, Vindicta.
His opponent, the red Zerg. Is he going to skip corners? Is he going to get to late game? Is he going to be proactive? What can this man do to stay alive in this group? It's Ukko.
And folks, those of you watching, those of you cheering on Vindicta, I have a request of you. Please, make sure to go push that P. And do that thing. I guess if you're an Ukko fan, you can spam use in the chat, but I don't know. I don't know what famous emote Ukko has, because Akon, while these are both professional players, and by the way, shout out to Ukko for looking as good as he does in what is his first DreamHack. These are also rather popular streamers. They have a decent following, so it's always fun when we get that happening. You get the big fan bases coming and being super active and cheering their favorites on.
Yeah, absolutely. StarCraft is all about the fans. Never forget.
Well, actually, no, it's about the people that enjoy StarCraft. I only have 2 fans in my room, and I actually only need one of them right now. It's not that hot.
Mocking my accent.
That's nothing about your accent. A fan is a fan. It has 2 meanings.
All right. I beg your pardon.
Thank you.
You know what I do call this map?
Why do you call this map?
Baby Jagannatha.
I'll buy that. It's a long, thin map with a decent amount of bases. Why is that? Why you call it Baby Jagannatha?
I had an insane leg spike. What did you say? Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, is that why you call it Juggernaut? You know, just a long, thin map with a decent amount of bases. Okay.
Yeah, it's just basically almost the same exact style of a map. Like you kind of have to play in a very similar way. And one thing that really says a lot is about the 3rd and 4th base in the horizontal pattern are placed, which is very similar to Jagannatha, with the fourth one being super exposed, while the third one is rather easy to defend.
You know what I miss, Akon? I miss in-base naturals. And that was a fun time where you would just get a natural for free, but then be super vulnerable to any drop play later on. It was an interesting way to play the game. And we don't really see that anymore.
What was that map called? Lost and Found? I think it was the last map that had a pocket natural.
Maybe. I'm really bad with map names. I can I can vaguely
I think
remember.
it was I think it was like the last map pool of 2018, I think.
You're
I'm a sucker for maps. Like, I do know a lot about maps, so yeah.
Now you're showing me that Roddy memory. You know, Roddy will remember literally every series that has ever been played, and luckily I'm graced now with Akon, who says, yes, let me tell you about every single map that has ever existed.
Yeah, not that far, but I do remember some of the most interesting ones, like Golden Wall, Static, Year Zero.
Blackpink, which had to be
Sure.
Blackpink, which had to be renamed to Neo Soul because of copyright infringement issues.
Yeah. Do you remember Redshift? That was a very weird map.
You know, actually, I got the opportunity to cast some weird maps for different tournaments, and there was one that had a one-directional speed zone, so you could go down ramps out of the main into other bases, but you couldn't go back up those ramps. Which your speed would get, I guess, get set to 0, but you would go really fast down it, and that was pretty cool. That was a fun map. Obviously, it never made pro, made like true professional play. But oh man, I'm a big fan of those gimmicks. You know, it feels like right now we have one idea in this map pool, one idea of map pools where it's just all mostly big macro maps that kind of have the same idea. But I mean, there are so many talented map makers that make so many interesting maps that I would like to see maybe a little bit more variation in how things happen.
Yeah, like every single year we have that one map pool which is a little bit more experimental, but it does feel like we lost the little bit of awkwardness that we had with some of the maps like we had in like 2020, even last year. So yeah, I do agree. I want to see some of those very talented map makers get a little bit crazy with the maps and then put them into the pool. A Disco Bloodbath, that was a map.
No, yeah, Disco Bloodbath was cool. Well, you know, I think we spent enough time here talking about things that truly do not matter. And Vindicta, again, he's going for the quick third CC. He's already got it on location. Ukko's creep spread is pretty fantastic. Hellions have not been all that great about knocking it down, but ooh, that is fantastic. A bunch of Lings do fall. 23 Lings for one Hellion. My God, Vindicta, calm down. That's some roasty toasty right there.
Yeah, he might have not gone for a drop, he might have not like dealt economical damage, but he's being on the map, he's being proactive, he's keeping his units around. He's showing us that he wants to do something. We're hitting the 6-minute mark. That is the moment to do that. Otherwise, like we've talked about in the previous game, there's one more. Oh, well, we have something else to talk about first.
I really do like. I like mutas on this map in general because, again, you do have that dead airspace. You have the long rally, so you're not worried about the Terrans hitting that push. But in this game in general, I really do like it because Vindicta has, again, gone for the greedy 3CC play. And while this is not 2-base muta, which is the pure counter to 3CC play, or soft counter, I guess, being able to move to mutas pretty much uncontested because the Terran will just not have pressure on the map quite fast enough. That is going to be rather nice. But okay, here comes the first bit of pressure from Vindicta. He has his 1-1 on the way. Combat shields not quite done. 1-1 will not be ready for the first part of this push, but that's fine. This is where the creep spread that Ukko has made becomes so important here because it is a solid almost 3 screens between where the creep spread starts on the right side and where that fourth base actually is. So Vindicta, he's going to have to fight through this for a while, and this buys a lot of time for Banes to pop out, for Lings to pop out, for Baneling speed to get closer to finishing. Of course, that is a downside for this style. Your Baneling speed is rather late, and it becomes a little bit harder to hold these pushes, but we're going to have to see what exactly Ukko has in store for us.
Vindicta also had kind of the dream scan into the main, spotting the Spire halfway through, and getting into Widowmine style, of course, does help a lot in this scenario.
Yeah, man, getting the mutas right now, right as the push happens, is a little bit scary here for Ukko. Is good Widowmine shots actually knocking some of these queens down, but here come the Banes, and they're going to stay right outside of the range of that second Widowmine, making sure that they do as best they can. Now Lynx run forward. Good target fire there, actually, with the Widowmine shot. So, yes, Vindicta will be forced back, and he will lose these medevacs, which is a bit scary, but at least he traded somewhat well against the Lings, though the boost is actually a little bit slow coming out, so the medevacs, well, that third one should probably die. Maybe it gets back in time. Yeah, okay, it's going to get back anyways. And here comes the rally of Vindicta, trying to maybe hope that Ukko overcommits just a little bit, because remember, this is 1-1, 0-0 for Ukko, and his Evo chamber is only halfway done.
Ukko walking a very dangerous line with this ult. He was able to make it work, but yeah,
God.
these mutas are...
Oh,
was
man.
it worth it?
No, it was not. Absolutely not. Man, fantastic move there from Vindicta. Smelling that the meters are going to fly in and knowing when they're going to back out. So he just puts a drop, 8-10 Marines on that right side. And now we have this game where 4 mutas have died of the 7 that were initially made. And yes, Ukko has made more, but he no longer nearly has the map dominance that he might have had. I mean, imagine he's at 13, 14 mutas right now. That is where most Zergs will tend to go, that 13 muta count. But by losing these 4 right now he's got to get more. Now he has to back up a little bit. Vindicta has much more agency on the map to knock down creep, to start putting pressure on Ukko. It looks like small. He's like, okay, 400 minerals, 400 gas. Those are 4 mutas. That was a fantastic tempo move for our cranky Terran.
Absolutely, Vindicta really showing us what he's made of, with a very good counter against the mutas, and now getting all the pieces of tech to try and lower their value. We have a little bit of a counter movement on this side by Ukko, though.
Yeah, but there should be enough reinforcements coming in here, and Vindicta moving into that Thor count as well, so the meters are not going to be a powerful fighting force in any sort of straight-up engagement anymore. And, did you get that lag spike too? Hopefully not.
I did.
Oh, man, NA server, being sad.
Yep.
Ooh, how many kills did that Widowmine have? 20 kills, so they just ran, I don't know if I got a meter or not, but Lings just ran over that Widowmine. 20 workers go down as Vindicta, his 2-2 finishing up. There was a world where if Vindicta had his armories faster, he would have 2-2 and his opponent with a 0-0, which is, you just don't take the fight as the Zerg. But even still, 2 upgrades as the lead, he's going to have armor as well, so the stores, they live a little longer. And we're going to have to see how much value Vindicta can find right now as he hits all of these timings, as his upgrades complete, as he maxes out, as he takes his 4th base. Can he actually start to put more pressure on Ukko? Because he did not kill that 4th base, and while getting those mutas gave him more agency on the map, we're not there just yet. And Mutiling Bane versus Biomine. Random Widowmines on the map killing mutas. Name a more iconic duo.
I absolutely can't. And with all these tiny bits of damage that Vindicta was able to put here and there, lowering the muta count we were talking about before, slowing down the growth of the Zerg, we see actually Ukko being not that high on Banelings for quite a while. Now he's on 31, but there was a moment in the game in which he had 9, and he mostly had just Lings and mutas. Right now it's a little bit too late, but Vindicta had a little bit of an incredible window. He still needs to be proactive, though.
The crazy thing here, Akon, is we look at resource loss. Nice move there from Vindicta on the left side. That's going to knock this base down. Let's see if we can get any more on the right side as Banes come rolling in. But they're Marauders and Thors. They are a wall of Terran that the Banelings do not really want to engage into. The interesting thing is that's changing. The resources loss differential was just about even. At the 10-minute mark in a TVZ Biomine versus Muta, which is not something that we see all that often, but Vindicta, he's found his opening now. He has knocked down 2 bases. It's now a 4-base Zerg versus a 4-base Terran. That drop on the left looks like it got cleaned up fairly easily, but the Zerg never wants to be on 4 bases. Certainly if you're going Mutiling Bane, you do not want to be on 4 bases against a Terran. It's just a little rough. Oh, but look at this. Ukko, he's got a little bit of a flank set up, but he's not going to go for it. Backing up to that 4th base as mutas, they run onto the other side.
Beautiful control on Vindicta on his stores, beautiful control on his Widowmines. Is really playing the micro game perfectly. All the good moves, and every single fight was wonderful on his side. And look at him again. Look at him go, intercepting these mutas in the middle of nowhere on two different sides. It looks like Ukko wants to bite back though, and he's gonna find a small platoon of units.
Ukko, you just can't keep doing that. How many mutas have died this game? 17. And in a game where it has been honestly pretty uninteractive for the most of it, which is not what you expect when you see these two styles clash, losing 17 mutas is pretty significant. This is not, say, game one where, yeah, Ukko was trading a lot worse, but he had the entire map and he was splashing, he was just rolling his units in. It's okay, that's the style. Vindicta is maxing out. Vindicta continues to build at least some level of a bank. His upgrades are in a fantastic spot. He's gonna have that 3-3 timing pretty quickly. He's got a fusion core on the way. I like that one. Liberator range is going to be fun. He's got a Ghost Academy as well, and now Ukko finally showing his presence on the map. But it's a 5-base Terran versus what is pretty much a 4-base Zerg. Vindicta has all the money he could want. He has all the map, maybe not quite as much map presence as he would want. But we do need to start seeing Ukko start to multi-prong a little bit, maybe find other ways to really keep Vindicta back, because it's getting scarier. But this is a massive flank coming in, only from the left side though. Muta's getting so low, it's disjointed. Ukko tried to bring stuff from the left and right, but it was the left and then the right, and that just does not work in this game. Ukko again takes a really problematic fight. He loses yet more mutas. We're down to, ignore that. We're down to 23 mutas dead. Make it 24 because the Widowmines find more. And now this gives Vindicta so much pressure on the left side to knock down a base again.
22 Banelings in the army of Ukko. It's not getting better. The count is lowering. Ukko has a lot of minerals, but again, Vespene guys are not looking good. Another great Widowmine shot, and these mutas flying into danger. Can they get something?
Oh, Vindicta, you God, I hate it. I love it. He had the two. That was a bait. You're like, oh, Ukko looks at this and says, it's a lot of Marauders, a couple Marines. Yeah, I can take this fight. It's 4 Marines. He doesn't see the 2 Widowmines sitting underneath, and that was 16 mutas that just died. Another base dead here as well. Vindicta has been punishing this muta play disgustingly hard. Now, when I talked to him before this series, he said, yeah, you know, I've been practicing with the big brain 200 IQ Mixu, so I'm either going to stomp it or I'm going to lose drastically. And we're seeing the big brain plays absolutely show up here. The way he's been dealing with where the mutas are going to be is absolutely fantastic. Now, this drop may be a little bit of a mistake here. He's got to run away. He's going to lose a lot of his bio, but it looks like he will be able to get at least some of it out. And this is the benefit of killing mutas all game. They don't chase as well as they might otherwise do.
Yeah, just don't go mutas against Vindicta. This man knows how to beat him. Ukko desperately trying to take bases, desperately trying to keep up in economy. Vindicta right now might not have the strongest of army after losing a bit too much. But Ukko, does he even have an army at all? This is not looking like a composition to me.
You had Corruptors in the late game to deal with Liberators and things, really for Liberators, and knock Medivacs out of the sky. But I'm not really sure how much it matters. Yes, we do have 3-3 from...
Not too high.
Sorry?
The count is not what you want to have at this stage.
No, not really, but Vindicta's getting very careful. Those are some low Marines. And oh man, Bailey's got uncomfortably close. So now here come the mutas looking for that engagement. And Vindicta's army supply, in all honesty, is not as big. We're waiting for more rallies, the reinforcements coming on in. Ukko looking for his opportunity right now. Vindicta has been leading this entire game, but that was actually a really good fight for the North American Zerg player. His supply for the first time in quite a while was up 50 for a second. Vindicta's bank is not all that there. Ukko's on 82 drones. He is somehow on 5 bases, and he has been mining more over the last several minutes, despite the value that Vindicta has been finding. So for a second, it really did look like Ukko was going to be able to sweep through and maybe even knock a base down. But the rally of Vindicta just a little bit too strong. He backs up, and we do need to see more medevacs, or at least more energy in these medevacs. The bio's getting pretty overstimmed.
Yeah, absolutely. We're not seeing like actually teching up. Tours are no longer of this planet. And Ukko is finding something to stay in this game and actually get into a pretty decent spot. You can see his bank growing. Same can be said about Vindicta. It's all about micro, proactiveness, and whoever has the best answer to the tech of his opponent.
Absolutely. So another base will go down. Ukko losing that one for... Actually, I think that's the first time he's lost a base in this position, but he has lost 4 hatcheries this game, and I think a couple more have been canceled. But I do like what Ukko's going here. He's going full-on battle mutas. I mean, these are 2-2 mutas. He got +3 on the way. They will continue to fight well into the mid-game, into the late game, unless it's overwhelming amounts of anti-muta play. But Ukko also maybe realizing that he can't hold this base. He says, okay, I'll trade a base for a base. That's fine. Bailey's look to roll on. Lings as well, but the Marauder wall is going to be more than enough for now. Vindicta, for a second, his bank was kind of shot. He's up there now, 3K, 2K. But, as you said, Ukko, he is starting to get his tech up a little bit more. We do have lurkers. We do have lurker upgrades. This game goes long enough. Maybe there's something.
Yeah, absolutely. Vindicta had to put down some production. He wasn't able to spend his bank fast enough. He wasn't able to trade as effectively. And that was what probably prompted us into... Ooh, yikes. Those Widow Mines, man.
Widow memes too strong here. The mutas are going to just dive on top of everything, and they're not really going to get all that much. In fact, almost every muta died. Only 3 remain, and maybe Ukko is saying, I don't really care about mutas anymore. You know, I have these corruptors in the sky. They fight the liberators. They fight the medevacs. The age of the mutas may be gone, but then maybe don't commit 5 upgrades to sky. Right? That you do get those heavy upgrades because in part you want to rely on your mutas as the game goes later. But Vindicta, again, pushing on the bottom side. No medevacs this time, so this is a bit of a sacrificial army here. We're going to have to see how much it does get done. Certainly denies another base. And as much as we've been talking about Vindicta this entire game, I got to give Ukko credit. This game has felt over, or at least a very difficult game for so long. And we're 20 minutes in, and Ukko still has some semblance of life in some way, shape, or form. But another base does go down. Now it is a 4-base Zerg versus a, what is that, 6-base Terran? Ooh, that's spooky.
It indeed is. It's almost close to be 7. I think this is starting to get mined out. Yes, it's a 7-base Terran. Soon to be 8. Yeah, this is starting to look rough.
Well, the one saving grace right now is Ukko has been able to transition into lurker play pretty undetected, actually. So we don't see Vindicta. He has the ability to make ghosts, but doesn't really have that many ghosts in his army just yet. So Ukko, he's maybe got a timing here. It's one of that Zerg thing where you hold, and then you hit with significant lurker counts before the Terran is ready. One of my shots again. They've found so much value this game, but Ukko's starting to get on top of the production and specifically getting on top of these barracks that do build the ghosts that you need to deal with the lurkers. So Ukko now, he's going to siege up the natural ramp. Liberator's going to siege up, but again, we have Corruptors where that comes from. And this is where things start to get really complicated for Vindicta. He's been in a fantastic spot the entire game. He can afford to trade inefficiently for a moment unless the Zerg gets totally on top of his production. And look at those spines. The bio's getting so low. Akon, I don't believe what I'm seeing here, but now as Ukko gets on top of production, it feels like he has a realistic shot in this game all of a sudden.
Yeah, production was the thing that Vindicta had going on for him. He had to put down more because he wasn't able to spend his bank. And right now, his production, he's burning up, he's exploding up in the skies. And there's no way to break these lurkers. On the other side of the map, Vindicta is trying to bite back, trying to reset tech. But Queens and Lings with a genuine glance, they do hurt quite a lot. Vindicta is not able to bite back in any shape or form. He's dropping down 5 racks in random places, but he's been losing so much to just the one maneuver. These lurkers, absolute MVPs of this game so far.
This is insane what Ukko's been able to do here. It was Vindicta briefly down at 5 barracks. He had 1 factory. I don't know about his tech. I didn't look. At least he still has the Ghost Academy, but Vindicta has just been absolutely swallowed from the inside. Good Widowmine shots, though, are going to be rather nice here, but the bio has nowhere to run. All the ghosts are going to go down, or at least so many of them. Banelings onto the planetary as well with these corruptors. Vindicta supply, he has 3K bank, but he just cannot spend it, Akon. This is absolutely ludicrous what Ukko is doing right now. He has no business winning this game, but he found the one freaking timing that is going to work for him. 63 SCVs remain, 22 have died. Vindicta, he has all the map, but it does not matter. I cannot believe what Ukko has just done in this game.
It's absolutely incredible, unbelievable. Vindicta didn't pay enough attention. This switch of tech caught him completely unprepared. He was readying his transition, he was getting the Liberators, Liberator range, Ghost Economy, trying to get those ghosts out, but he never was in time. He was just a little bit too tunnel vision into try to get those bases, and even on just the 4 bases. By the way, Ukko still on 4, just now getting the 5th. He now has a million lurkers, and I don't see a counter on the map. We have some ghosts, yes, but how many?
That is a good thing to point out, by the way, when we talk about this. Ukko is not mining. He's below 1,000 minerals a minute. This army that he has is really the last one he's going to have for quite a while. Long distance mining on the bottom right. So as much as we talk about how good this move was for Ukko, and it has brought a game back to almost even, that he has no... It has been dominated for the last 20 minutes by Vindicta in a significant fashion. He does need to reestablish his economy, and that will buy time for Vindicta once again to go up to 84 SCVs to really start utilizing that vastly superior mining. So eventually, Vindicta is going to have his barracks up. He's going to have his factories up. He's going to start to hit critical ghost mass. So Ukko cannot let off the gas here. He has to continue to slap down bases. He has to continue to take positive trades before Vindicta is back and in full form once again. And that's a fantastic move. 23, 25 SCVs go down. Another planetary fall. So really, Vindicta at this point only has the left side of the map. I mean, yeah, technically he does have that third, but it's mined out. Doesn't really matter. But it's a it's a marker of how dominant this game has been for Vindicta up to this point, where he has 3 planetaries and 4 orbitals still in this game, despite the fact that he has lost 3 orbitals, lost 2 planetaries. He's lost 10 barracks in a somewhat...
This is madness. It's unbelievable. He still has a lot of ghosts out. I am a little bit scared about these lurkers. They really do not stand a chance against those ghosts, especially now that nukes can be used as a little bit of a zoning tool as well. And can I give you a little bit of an off topic?
I mean, sure.
These 6 mutas have been here for the last 10 minutes.
It's just the long con. He's going to fly him into a base because Vindicta has stopped making missile turrets because he thinks the time of the muta is over.
Yeah, it's on Mega Brain. I cannot understand. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I don't know. But, I mean, it's got to be something. Really, it's one of those things where the mutas are maybe not as effective, so you kind of remove them from a hotkey and forget about it. But another orbital will go down. Now, we're actually starting to see the benefit of Neo-Steel plating really be useful because that command center is taking a while to start burning, and Vindicta on the high ground. He has started to hit critical ghost count, by the way. He's at 19 ghosts. That is the point where it really starts to be difficult for the Zerg to deal. But Vindicta, it's funny, if you look at this game, you would think, okay, you know, the upper left is where the Terran core base... Oh, no! Ukko, he's done such a good job this game coming back into it, but he really cannot take trades like that. He's going to lose so many more lurkers, and now the army supply is just really not there. And while Vindicta, given enough time, could rebuild, he could build more barracks, he had a decent SCV count, even as he did lose a lot, he could do things with that. Ukko really can. He does not have the bases. He just has that one mining base on the bottom side. And this ghost has killed his 26 kills, 16 drones, I think. And there's a nuke going down here as well. We just don't have any detection from Ukko. We need to see it come over. He knows this exists. And, oh, you gotta kill that. You gotta kill that one. Nuke will not land, but that was almost horrendous.
Yeah, 2 nukes were about to end this whole game. That first nuke killing 15 drones and a queen. That is just simply nothing you can lose at this stage of the game. Ukko did have to care a lot about his drones. He was caught out in the open in the fight and lost back home. And now this game, I do feel like at last, this is beyond salvation.
Man, you wish. You really do wish. Was that an EMP on... Did I just see an EMP on top of Vindicta's army? Like, did Vindicta just EMP himself? Thought I saw that.
I think he did.
Anyway, luckily, Friendly Fire doesn't quite work like that. You need to have, you know, an infestor do something like that. Ukko, yeah, I would have loved to see him actually get a much bigger economy behind all that pressure he was putting on, but he only took 1 base and wasn't even really able to do that. He does knock down another base from Vindicta, so Vindicta is really only mining off of 2 bases as well, long distance from Ukko, as this game continues to get scrappy as all hell. But Ukko will lose what is functionally his last mining base. That's not... He does not have a mining base right now. He's long distance. That is it. Look at the income. It's 300 a minute. This is intensely problematic. He needs to find some way to get a massive surround at this point. Continue to long distance mine, but there are widow mines where you would normally do that. Now the bio moving in. Oh no, the ghosts, the lurkers, they're not even burrowed. There is just not enough for Ukko anymore. Akon, he made it. So I was convinced he was winning that game off of a 15k deficit. It really did look like that for a second, but Vindicta, he held his cool. He was able to find what he was looking for. This one lurker actually finding so much value. There's no detection. That's a lot of spines coming down from this lurker, and we have infestors on the right side. But you need to see more. So infestor's not going to land, but oh wait, how many? We have 4 orbitals. That lurker should not have gotten as much damage as it did, but it did not matter. I thought Ukko had that game won after 20 minutes of Vindicta dominance, but Vindicta pulls it back.